Hello, I'm the Irish guy, and the Premier League is back!
Everybody squeal!
As always, like every week this season, here is the Prem Catch-Up, where I look at every single Premier League match that happened this weekend. And oh boy, some of the things that happened just boggles the brain. Right, let's go. Newcastle 1, Southampton 0. Can somebody please check in on Ben Brereton Diaz? I have half a mind to ring up every Southern hospital to make sure that this Chilean striker hasn't spent the weekend lying on a bed struggling to remember his own name, because what just happened on Saturday afternoon was assault, right? Fabian Schär was sent off for callously and thuggily smashing his bonce into the poor unsuspecting Diaz's forehead using such a colossal force that poor little Ben was probably at risk of having his head split open like a Terry chocolate orange, right? No, instead, Schär was sent off for a practical head kiss. Look, I like Diaz, and I think he's a smart Southampton signing. But this fella, he shoves Schär off the ball, provoking the Swiss defender to turn around and lightly, gently put his forehead against Diaz's. And then big boy Ben reacts as if Schär had just spit acid into his eye. The way he was writhing on the floor, you would think that Schär had just jammed a pencil up his nose. Lads, I have had rougher clashes playing football myself inside the last week. I mean, has nobody noticed this ugly bruise on my eye? Look at the state of it. Look at it. Look at the state of it. No, I didn't just walk into a door like so many of Chris Brown's girlfriends. Now, it was because some awkward meatloaf defensive midfielder just kept smacking me in the face every time I dribbled past him. Did I then collapse to the floor as if my tongue had been yanked out by a pigeon on Game of Thrones? Did I then act like I just had all my toes chewed off by a snake? And look at it. I look like a bruised banana. Right now, I'm going to headbutt the wall with all the force that Fabian Schär used. Yeah. I don't even have a headache. And me and the wall are still friends, right? Why am I talking to a wall? But you know what? Fair play to Ben, because it worked. Because this Rivaldo-esque play acting got Schär sent off, and yet Southampton still lost the match. Can you imagine being a poor Saints fan? Sitting on a sweaty bus for what, 10 hours? Having to set off from their seaside house at 3:30 a.m. Their breakfast was probably what? A bag of soft custard creams they brought from home. Having to trudge up those millions of steps to sit up there in the clouds at St. James's Park with every one of their players looking like a squashed yellow ant, and yet haplessly watch their 11 men lose to 10. The Magpies only had 22% of the ball. Southampton had 649 passes to Newcastle's 181. Even the Saints' passing accuracy was impressive. 89% compared to 64%. They had 12 corners to Newcastle's 3. 19 shots to their 3, so there is positives. Southampton absolutely dominated this match, but they somehow still lost. Lads, their strike force, it don't look pretty. They've got 2/3 of Sheffield United's strike force from last season, and Adam Armstrong, who's already failed in this division. There you go. Oh, they're going straight back down. Chelsea 0, Man City 2. Chelsea are rubbish. Man City could afford to rest a bunch of players for this trip to Chelsea and still comfortably win, with Pep absolutely dancing tactical rings around his former pupil. But the big story coming out of this match centers around Raheem Sterling, left out of the squad entirely, and so chose to release a statement, with his spokesperson saying that Raheem
was as committed as ever to delivering at the highest level for Chelsea FC, but will be seeking clarity in relation to his future at the club.
Are you for real? Lads, go back 9 years ago, and people thought that Sterling was everything wrong with football. A greedy little rat who wanted to quit Liverpool for the money. I never believed that. To me, him going to Man City made perfect sense. What, do you really think he wanted to stay with a team who just lost 6-1 to Stoke? I could see that was a move for his actual ambition. The pay rise was just a nice, cute little bonus. But his public statements through his agents made him look like a fool, with his agent telling the world that he wanted to leave Anfield so badly that he wouldn't even stay at Anfield for £900,000 a week. Yeah. That is actually what he said. A blatant lie, by the way. I'm not saying Sterling is all about the money, but I'm sorry, 900k a week in 2015? If a Chinese Super League club had offered him that insane amount of wealth, he would have absolutely traded in his ambition for that. His agent would be the first one telling him to do it. He wouldn't even have to go to China. He would just, the chance to continue playing in the Premier League for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yeah, he would take nearly £1 million a week. So statements like that made him sound stupid. But then Sterling rebuilt his image. He became a wonderful player for Man City and England, and even stood up to the media. In 2018, Sterling was viewed as a king by everyone. Every football fan had huge respect for the guy, but now he's back looking like a clown. And all because his agents or spokespeople can't just keep their mouth shut. Lads, you want to talk about being mistreated by the club? Conor Gallagher just had to spend 5 days trapped in a Spanish hotel room, waiting to be told his future. I mean, by day 4, he was probably chewing on toilet paper and chatting to the minibar yogurts in his pillow fort, whilst pleading with the ghost not to force him to kill his family. Okay, it may not have been the hotel from The Shining. Gallagher has every right to slam Chelsea in public, And so does Trevoh Chalobah. But Sterling, moaning in the media because Maresca doesn't think that 2 mediocre Chelsea seasons warrants an automatic opening day place in his squad. Stop it, Raheem. You are better than this statement. Much better. The bloke is a literal MBE. And yet he seems determined to end his 20s with the same reputation as the one he began it with. Once again, everyone now thinks he's some arrogant, spoiled child. Man United won Fulham 0. A solid performance from Man United, sure, but Joshua Zirkzee is the new hero. Lads, last season, it took Rasmus Højlund half a year to get off the mark in the Prem, but this man, he's starting his Man United career like Tony Martial or, Federico Makeda. But lads, you know what's really strange? With the viral clip of Vincent Kompany this week, absolutely berating his Burnley players last season.
Stop moaning!
Yeah, I then went back to the old clip of him delivering a harsh team talk to his Anderlecht players a few years ago. I watched that clip for the first time, 18 months ago? And I thought, that's a leader. Why do you think I was on the kickoff tipping in for Spurs? But this time out, I revisited it and noticed one interesting sentence in the clip. I'm gonna reenact it for you.
The second thing, Zuck! Last time I talked about your attitude, you come off, I don't need a smile, but I still need to see attitude that is perfect. You are not good, just like all the other one. I couldn't take it off from Hendrick to the last one without anyone complaining. See guys, Kompany got mad.
Yeah, lads, a year ago, I thought this poor old Zirk was just some journeyman Belgian defender with all the talent of melted Weetabix. And so this is just a case of a world-class footballer becoming exasperated with the obscenely mediocre talent he had to work with. You know, just like Roy Keane at Ipswich Town. So imagine how my mind is blown that actually this sulking Zirk, someone whose attitude was not even appropriate enough for the Belgian league, that Zirk is actually Manchester United's new star boy. I'll tell you now, when the penny dropped for me on who that actually was, it was like when Hank Schrader was reading a book on the loo. My mind was utterly blown, so I don't want to freak out everyone, lads. But Kompany has already hinted that Joshua Zirkzee might just have an attitude problem. Someone that sulks whenever he's subbed off the pitch. I mean, to me, that stinks of the same sort of attitude that Jose Mourinho called toxic when he was at the club. Are we really sure the bloke's not another Sancho? Ipswich 0, Liverpool 2. Poor Ipswich. They wait decades, literal decades, to crawl themselves back into the top flight. And yet, the first 2 games of the season, Liverpool and Manchester City. Are you real? This is a complete baptism of fire for Kieran McKenna, coming up against a refreshed, revitalized Liverpool side under Arne Slot. Lads, Mo Salah ran the show and scored his 9th opening day goal. But who is this man? Because last season, this Egyptian prince was beginning to look like a sluggish, laboured meatloaf who some Reds fans wanted sold to Saudi in the summer. This was a completely refreshed Salah, and I'm not sure what happened. Last season, was he just being slowed down by his hair? I'm not gonna lie, it's weird to see this man shave his head. He always looked like someone who'd just been electrocuted after trying to make toast in the bath. So to see him sporting this skinhead look, it's confusing me because I could always use his hair to differentiate between the Salah we know and the fraud that was at Chelsea. So now that he looks like the version that stunk up Stamford Bridge, now to see his actual world-class ability go with the bald, it's weird. But you know what is crazy though? Slot just became the first Liverpool manager to win his first Premier League match in charge since Gerard Houllier when he beat Southampton in August 1998. Although, can everyone please stop gassing up Ipswich Town now and realize that this squad is not built to survive? Most of those players in that second half look like starstruck puppies. Lads, I know it's a tough task being given Liverpool on opening day. But come on, you are a newly promoted club who should be coasting on adrenaline. When I think of a newly promoted club coasting on vibes, being cheered on by their fans, I think of 3 teams who completed mammoth tasks. The first one, Wigan Athletic in 2005, whose first ever Premier League game was facing, up until then, the greatest ever Premier League team, an impossible to beat Chelsea side, who just won the league with 95 points under the special one. Yeah, the Latics lost 1-0 in the 93rd minute. The guy who scored the winning goal had just netted 2 in the Champions League final for AC Milan. But Wigan were fearless. They hit the crossbar. They should have won the match against the star-studded Chelsea. They were brave. The second team I think of is Cardiff City. Their first ever Premier League home match in 2013 was against a filthily rich Man City, and Cardiff somehow beat them 3-2 in Wales. And the third side is Burnley. Goofy little Burnley. Their first ever Premier League outing at Turf Moor was against Manchester United. You know, the champions of England, one of the greatest sides in English football, who just come within 2 games of winning the actual quadruple. It was an impossible task to beat them, right? No, Burnley won 1-0. Ipswich were not anything like what Wigan, Burnley, or Cardiff showed. No, they were all just very meh. It's going to be a long season for the Tractor Boys. Arsenal 2, Wolves 0. Yep. Arsenal go marching on. Opening day match against Wolves at home, and a very simple routine 2-0 win, with both Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka on the score sheet. I would imagine for the really old, senile Wolves fans in their 90s, they were probably very confused to see Bukayo Saka score against them, when 10 years ago, Wolves were picking Bakary Saka on the wing. But look, easy Arsenal win, but can I ask, can someone please check in on Yerson Mosquera? Because why? When locked in a tangle with Kai Havertz, why did he then grab the German's throat? As if it's not bad enough, the book stayed on the pitch long enough to pinch Gabriel Jesus' bum. You wait your whole life to make your Premier League debut, and you choose to just behave like some sort of a delinquent rat, like some seedy old man lurking in the middle of a teenage disco. Just strange. Everton 0, Brighton 3. Oh dear. You only get to do your final season at home once. Sean Dyche, please make sure that your prime objective this season is to show respect for your home form again. Because this wasn't the final ever match at Goodison Park, no. But it was the final ever opening day of the season at Goodison Park, and you just let a hipster managerial child come and eat your team with a spoon. Lads, everything needs to make sure that this final season at Goodison Park is like West Ham's final season at Upton Park, where they wave goodbye to the ground by having famous nights when they managed to beat Newcastle, Chelsea, Liverpool twice, Tottenham and Manchester United. That is how you kiss goodbye to your spiritual home. But this, I mean, Everton were the width of a marginal offside call away from losing your final opening match at Goodison Park by 4-0. But you've only yourselves to blame. Why are you still persisting with the brutishly ugly gingerbread man like Michael Keane at the back, when you've got a perfectly good ready-made Leon star, Jake O'Brien, sitting on the bench? Someone who literally just scored in a cup final against PSG. And I respect Ashley Young for having a brilliant career, but why is he still starting matches at right back and helping himself to red cards as if they're complimentary mini roles? Young is 39 years old. You know it's scary and desperate when James Milner ain't actually the oldest one on the pitch. Lads, these two starting a Premier League match against each other is actually pretty crazy, considering they first became Aston Villa teammates over 15 years ago. West Ham won, Aston Villa 2. Lads, before the season started, I said that West Ham would finish above Aston Villa. Not only did they lose, but the two players who scored against them were players that the Hammers were so close to signing. West Ham actually agreed a £33.5 million deal with Lille for Amadou Onana in August 2022, only for him to weirdly choose Everton instead. I still have no earthly clue why. And John Duran, he was so close to a move to the London Stadium this summer that he was even seen on Instagram Live doing the actual Irons cross. It was so blatantly disrespectful. He was even having to apologize to the traveling Aston Villa fans in his celebration. What this reminds me of is when Norwich City had a one-to-way Irish midfielder Wes Hoolahan, a man who was trying so hard to secure himself a move to Aston Villa halfway through the season that he then scores against Villa and just refuses to celebrate. That was a bit like Duran, who looked awkwardly sheepish to score the winning goal against the club he openly wants to join. Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. So there was no Ivan Toney in the Brentford lineup. And lads, I'm sorry, but if he really is on the verge of a move to Al Ahly at the age of 28, then I won't understand it. Tony is a late bloomer. This is somebody who only became a Premier League footballer at the age of, what, 24? Okay, no, to be fair, he did squeeze a couple of minutes out of Newcastle 10 years ago, but no, still, choosing to leave now, when you need to make up for so much lost time. It would be like if Jamie Vardy had chosen to quit the Premier League after just 4 years, instead of hanging around long enough to get himself in the 100-goal club and win a golden boot. If he had just gone to China in 2018, that would have been depressing beyond belief. Actually, even worse, because Tony has missed a year of his 4 years in the Premier League. So really, he's only had 3. So no. It would be like Vardy going to China in 2017. Just what? But look, Brentford won this game without Tony, although they should have lost it, because Eberechi Eze scores a beautiful Messi-esque free kick in the first half, and it gets chalked off because the referee had already blown for a foul in the box. Every player could have had a picnic on the edge of the 6-yard box. No one was ever stopping that free kick. The referee should have absolutely let it stand. So honestly, lads, that completely changed the game, because up until that point, Palace were dominating. So I'm sorry, but lads, Palace were robbed. Nottingham Forest 1, Bournemouth 1. I've only got 2 words. 2 words. Poor Danilo! Honestly, this result paled in the comparison, because this Brazilian midfielder had the world at his feet. Because 3 days before the season starts, he was getting active transfer links to Manchester United. They were looking at him, monitoring him. He was going to be their next Fred. How excited do you think he was getting the chance these 3 weeks to prove himself in Forest's midfield and then maybe secure himself a dream transfer? And then he breaks his ankle on the opening day. Anyway, that's the end of the video, lads. Yes, the Premier League is back. I'm so glad it is back. Yes! And don't worry, Premier League predictions are coming on a weekly basis. Me against other YouTubers. Let me know in the comments who you want to be the first one to challenge me this week. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.